This is the Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll with headlines and punchlines for Thursday, May 14th, 2026, the 479th day of the Sex Offender Administration. The Senate confirmed Kevin Warsh to lead the Federal Reserve. Warsh will take over for Chairman Powell when Powell's term ends on May 15th. But if anything bad happens after May 15th, it will still be Powell's fault. The Trump administration will block new home health care and hospice providers from enrolling in Medicare for at least the next 6 months, citing concerns about widespread fraud. Widespread fraud will not be tolerated. All fraud must be confined to Trump and friends. Dalton Eatherly, who goes by Chud the Builder, and live streams himself saying racially derogatory statements to black people in public settings, was taken into custody after being involved in a shooting outside a Tennessee courthouse on Wednesday. Dalton Eatherly and an unidentified man were involved in a confrontation that resulted in gunfire. A witness described the victim as black, but that's not exactly how Eatherly described him. Corey Richins, a Utah mother who wrote a children's book on grief after her husband's death, was sentenced Wednesday to life in prison without parole for his murder. The book was called I Can't Grieve You If You Won't Die. MG217 multi-symptom treatment cream and skin protectant eczema cream sold on Amazon is being recalled because it could cause severe infections and life-threatening side effects. According to a Food and Drug Administration press release, the cream is contaminated with Bacterium Staphylococcus aureus, which sounds like the spell that Harry Potter uses to get rid of an STI. This has been the Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll with headlines and punchlines for Thursday, May 14th, 2026, the 479th day of the Sex Offender Administration. Join me live at the Church of Best Resort Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on MindDog TV.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee. And hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about Kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with the Dog. You make me laugh.
Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with the Dog. Today is Thursday, May 14th, 2026. The 479th day of the Sex Offender Administration. Lest we forget why we are all here. No, that's not why we're all here. Most of you are here because got no place else to go. Or you have plenty of places to, I kid. There are plenty of places for you to go. And for those of you who are here, I appreciate it. Especially since Matt's not here and you're just here to see if I really can put my feet up on the desk. And the truth is I can't. I cannot put my feet up on the desk. I would show you my desk, but it's covered. It is so cluttered that you can't see what's on it. You can't find my desk for all the stuff that's on it. Okay, let's see here. I have, wow, okay, let's do this. There's a lot of stuff in the news that the Reverend didn't cover. I mean, he covered the obvious stuff like I forgot, shootings and stuff like that. A recall. Oh yeah, whenever there's a recall, he tries to, I try to write it up for him and he covers it. There's a cream. Oh, there's MG217. Let's see if I can find it. MG217. And the cream itself is supposed to treat eczema on the skin. Okay, get like that's rashes and stuff like that, flaky skin, and it's contaminated. Some of it's contaminated, and one of the things it does is it creates rashes, which is what it's supposed to get rid of. And so, if you're using it and you don't see your rashes going away, you don't know if you have it's messed up until the poison gets in your skin. And it's a very effective way. But I mean, let's face it, you already have like flaky skin, so your skin is already raw, it's already sensitive, and then you're going to be putting Bacterium staphylococcus aureus on it, and it's just going to soak into your skin, and it can kill you. It can kill you. So if you're using MG217 multi-symptom treatment cream and skin protector and eczema cream, sold on Amazon, send it back. Stop using it, especially if you notice that you're not getting any better. Even if you're not getting worse, if you're not getting better, send it back, please. That's how capitalism is supposed to work. They make products. We test the products as we buy them, and if it doesn't work, we send it back, and if we live, we get to sue them. Good morning, Ann, Bakersfield, California. Welcome to the show. We have a caller from Bakersfield. Good morning, Ann. Yes. So at some point today, I reached out to all of my friends to see if they want to be on, and apparently there must be some kind of misunderstanding because there's no way they would have blocked me from every form of contact. My texts are being returned, my phone calls are blocked, my emails are being returned. So I'm assuming that there's a mistake on my end or something like that, because there's no way my friend would have blocked me. So I'm here today by myself, unless tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to Carl just to see if he's interested in being over here. Although he may not be, because he's a married man now. He's got responsibilities. Like he's got to hide stuff from his wife. He can't just go around doing stuff. He's got to hide stuff from his wife. So I should have reached out to I have a friend who's I'm going to reach out to her anyway, because I know she's not working. She's very, very sick. She's feeling up to it. Maybe she can hop on. It's another Ann. I have another Ann friend. She had surgery, and I can see how she check. What the hell just happened? That's not supposed to happen. Okay. I have no messages awaiting to be restored. Yeah, restore now, please. Oh, please. Don't restore right now. Apparently, the way Facebook Messenger works now is that you can, I have to have a PIN number to restore old messages, which is kind of weird to me. I mean, if they're old messages, that means I've already seen them. Why should I have to enter a PIN number to see them again? But chances are I've already seen them. I mean, it's true they're old messages that you may have overlooked. Not you, me. I may have overlooked. So I'm reaching out to Carl. So Carl, if you're watching, check your Facebook Messenger. I sent you a thing to see if you want to join me. And I'm gonna reach out to my friend Ann, who let's see here. I'm just sending her the link. I'm not telling her what it's for. Okay, I'll just say if you want to join me on the show, if you want to join me on the show. Boom. Oh, I should say live. There. So this is what I have prepared for today. I want to talk about two things in particular. Well, I have two top 10 lists I want to go over with you. One, I mentioned, okay, let's see. Heavy Cab says, I was a chemist for a rubber company. We had to do a recall on a big batch of condoms. That was awkward. Now, okay, were the condoms big? So it was a big batch of, was it a batch of big condoms or just a lot of condoms? And was there a surge, an unexpected surge in the population 9 months after the recall because people did not return enough of the condoms? I'm just curious myself now. I am now big batch condom curious. So now there's one other thing I want to look up. So I have two lists, maybe three if I can find the other one. Two lists, and one of them is, like I said, top 10 attractions for tourists in the country, in the world. The top 10 places that people go to visit in the world, most popular places. And then we're going to have the top 10 candies. Now that's just in the U.S., not in the world. It's just too many. Too many candies to do that right. So can't. Let's see here. I'm trying to find something and see if I saved it. I've got this. I want to see if I saved it, and if I did, if I can find it. And it looks like maybe I can't find it. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if I can find it or not. Well, at any rate, I do have something of a list that I think I can find. I can find that. And that is my favorite sitcoms of all time. My personal favorites, the things I used to watch when I was growing up that really, really impacted me. And so when I say my favorite, I'm talking about stuff that before VCRs, before DVD, before DVRs, before VCRs. When a show came on TV, if you missed it, you had to wait 6 months to see it again. You had to wait till the summer reruns because the show was new in the fall, and in the summer it was a rerun. And so I'm talking about stuff that you changed, stuff that I literally changed my life or reorganized my life so that I could be home to watch those things. I would say to my friends, I can't be home. I got to be out. I can't go out tonight. I got to be home to watch this. And I'm trying to think. Let's see if I can do this. Well, actually, I want to see what this looks like before I try to share it. Okay, yeah. I think I can share these then. I just need to find out where they are. Okay. Let's see. This is in my sitcom folder. Got it. My fave sitcom folder. Okay, I know where to find it now. So I'm like I said, my five favorite sitcoms. I think I'm gonna start with that. That'll allow me to show stuff, I think, or talk about stuff. I just have to find out where I put it again already. Let's see here. I already lost it. I forgot where I put it already. Let's try this. Humor podcast. Humor podcast. 5 fave sitcoms. Okay, cool. There we go. All right. I'm going to try to take these in order, starting with like I said, when they appeared in my life. Okay, and my first favorite sitcom by order, in order in which they showed up on television. My first one was Soap. It was a sitcom with a very, very dysfunctional family. I'm not going to show any clips because I don't want to risk getting in any kind of trouble. But Soap was, I don't know if you can see some of these pictures up here. I put them up here, the cast from Soap. And Billy Crystal was in it. He played the openly gay son of what is her name? The openly gay son of Mary Campbell. So there's two different families. There's the Tates and the Campbells, and I'm trying to remember how they were related. I can't remember how the Tates and the Campbells were related. They may have been in-laws. I think they were in-laws. But they were, like I said, there were two different, and that's what the story's about, those two families, the Tates and the Campbells. And this is what, oddly enough, I don't know if the announcer is given the credit. Rod Roddy was the announcer. I don't remember what he did, I don't think he narrated anything. I think the show, once it started, just ran its course. But it had Billy Crystal. He played Jody Dallas, and like I said, their openly gay son. Then there was Jay Johnson. He played Bob Campbell, who was let's see. He was the one with the ventriloquist. He was the ventriloquist one. He was the one that did not know that the kid that it was, Bob and Jay. I think the mannequin's the dummy's name was Jay, but I can't remember. But he could not function without it. He did all this talking through him, and it was absolutely hilarious. Robert Guillaume, if you know Robert Guillaume from Benson, he was in it. So it was a very, very, very funny, and it was one of those shows that when it came on, and I think it was Thursday nights when it came on. I can't remember now. When it came on, I had to be home. I stopped everything. I turned down dates. I was dating this young lady, and our relationship was relatively new. I mean, we wound up getting engaged at some point, but at this point we were just dating. And she wanted to go out, and I said, I can't go out. She tempted me with all kinds of offers of sex and stuff, and I said, no, I have to be home to watch Soap with my mom. And I was probably 18 or 19 years old at the time. So, I wasn't like a child. I was, I'd had the sex before. I knew how good the sex was. But if I didn't see Soap, I had to wait 6 months to see that episode and then hear people talk about it before, for 6 months before seeing it. But if I didn't see my girlfriend that one day, I could see her later, like I could see her Friday or Saturday or Sunday. I could see her another day. I didn't have to wait 6 months to see her again. So yeah, Soap. I had to I rescheduled my life around that show. Now, I think the next one that I have takes a couple seconds. Okay. The next one is, there was a show called Maude. Now, that was a spinoff from All in the Family. Maude showed up in All in the Family first. She was, I think, Edith's cousin. Very strong-minded, very passionate, equal rights thing. And she was like Archie's foil for, on and off for a little bit. And she was so popular that she got her own show. And there were other shows that had female leads, but she was like dominant, really dominant. And the people that came out of that show, Esther Roll, who played her maid, she got her show. She got her own show, Good Times, out of that. Rue McClanahan. Rue McClanahan got she got, you probably know it. She went on to do Golden Girls along with B. Arthur, who was Maude. Maude was a good show. It was a really funny show. I'm trying to think who else was in that show that people would probably know or not. Adrienne Barbeau. Adrienne Barbeau, when I was a teenager, was disturbingly attractive to me. Not she was attracted to me. I was, as a teenager, I couldn't stare at her, because it was one of those things like, she was just, first of all, she was very smart. She was very smart off camera, but she was also a dancer. And I used to have crushes on dancers. She basically, every fetish that I had as a young man, Adrienne Barbeau kind of filled. And so I had trouble. I literally, when she walked on the screen, I was so embarrassed about what I was feeling inside that I either did one of two things. I either like stared at the screen, or I just turned my head totally away like this. One of two reactions. I'm a grown man now, so I can look at Adrienne Barbeau and it's no big deal. But when I was a young man, it drove me crazy. Let's see, Bill Macy. It was a good show. I'm trying to think here. Who else was in this thing that went on to do big stuff? Actually, I'm seeing people in the cast here, and I don't even know what they did. I didn't look it up to see what they did. I just remember the shows themselves. So let's see. So number 3, again, this is just in order as I remember, the order that I remember them being in, as far as time-wise. Let's see. That was Soap, Maude, and I think next is Golden Girls. Okay, yeah, we talked about Golden Girls. I thought that was such a hilarious show. That's another one. I think that came out before there were like VCRs and stuff like that. So that's another one of the shows that I made sure I was home to see. And again, B. Arthur was in it. Rue McClanahan. Estelle Getty was hilarious, absolutely hilarious. She was not nearly as old as her character Sophia was. And Betty White, my God, Betty White, um, so funny, so smart. Uh, and the beautiful thing about Betty White is that up until like her 90s, she was still popular. Um, I guess to get, she was just, they got what she was on Saturday Night Live. She was hilarious on Saturday Night Live. She was um, funny as far back as I can remember. First time I saw her was on a show called Password, and she was hilarious there. Absolutely hilarious. Um, uh, yeah, that's it for that. I mean, it's just a good. I don't even know how many seasons it ran. I didn't bring up. What I was looking for was for my notes for the shows, and that's what I can't find. That way, I could not be stammering and trying to remember these details. In my notes, I had all the years and stuff, and now I feel kind of stupid. But since I said I was going to talk about it, what the hell? I'm gonna talk about it. I'm going to talk about what I can remember about these shows. Um, and I now I I'm not sure about the order of these, so I'm going to go next. One of my favorites, um, Faulty Towers. As a matter of fact, one of the people that was in it just recently passed away. Uh, can't remember. Don't see her name up here, so she's probably just in one particular series, one particular uh, episode. She just recently died. But this show it only had, I think, 12 episodes, 2 seasons, 4 years apart, and each season had 6 episodes. And I did have this on VHS. I bought the 2 box set, or yeah, I bought the box set. So I had both seasons on video, and this is one of the things that I turned my stepdaughter onto. This and Monty Python. She was hooked on Monty Python, and she probably has an unhealthy crush on John Cleese because of me. But we used to watch this Faulty Towers all the time. And for those of you if you haven't watched Faulty Towers, I really, really recommend it. It was funny, smart, and it really worked. It worked on a lot of levels. And one of the running gags that they had on the show was there was an opening shot of the hotel, Faulty Towers, and the sign was always wrong. Okay, the sign, like one time, and I remember this because this was my little girl's favorite one. It was Farty Towels. She loved when instead of saying Faulty Towers, it said Farty Towels. And the running gag was there was a neighborhood kid who kept changing the signs and making all the dirty words and making the sign say stuff that it wasn't supposed to say. And I don't think they ever caught the kid. And I don't know if you ever find out who the kid was that was doing it. I'm not sure it was an actual real character other than a kid, like a Dennis the Menace type kid in the neighborhood. There was, I'm trying to think, the guy that played Manuel, Andrew Sachs. Now he was from Barcelona. His character's from Barcelona, and I think he was my little girl's favorite character because he got everything screwed up because he didn't speak English very well. At least not when Basil Fawlty, John Cleese's character, talked to him. When Sybil talked to him, Sybil Fawlty, played by Pernilla Scales, and she's passed on recently, he understood her. Now, Connie Booth she was John Cleese's real-life wife, Connie Booth, and she played Polly Sherman. Now, the reason why she did not play his wife in the series is because, if because if I remember correctly, in Britain, they didn't, because Connie Booth is an American. I don't think they would have accepted her in the lead role um, on a British comedy. I, I could be wrong about that, but that's basically it. That is basically it. And so she was relegated to playing the hotel manager uh, or one of the staff, as opposed to uh, his wife. But to be honest, the way Prunella Scales played it, again, I don't. This is not to take anything away from Connie Booth, because I don't know her range. I don't know what, I think I've only seen her in like one other thing, and I think that was the movie with John Cleese, and it was about a zoo or something, and I can't remember the name of that particular. Was it Wild Creatures, or let me see. Let me look that up real quick. John Cleese zoo movie. Right, John Cleese zoo movie. Fierce Creatures. That's it, 1997. And so she was in that. And also Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Kline. So, but that's the only thing I remember her in. So I don't know what her range is. But Prunella Scales played Sybil Fawlty so well. She was so hilarious. Basil. That meant with the voice and everything, it was great. And now, oh, don't mention the war. Yeah, it was a great show. It was, so like I said, I had all 12 episodes, and my little girl was hooked on it. She was absolutely hooked on it. And she used to throw Monty Python parties on the weekends. Not every weekend. That would have been unbearable for me. But occasionally she'd have sleepovers. And during the sleepovers, be a weekend of Monty Python. That's it. And we had every Monty Python movie. We had the independent movies also, like Terry Gilliam stuff, like Time Bandits, and of course Fawlty Towers. And that's what they'd watch all weekend. That's it. And they would put, and my little girl was also very much into theater makeup. I'm not sure that she wouldn't have, she would have probably made a pretty decent makeup artist, I think, because for middle school she was pretty good, and that was just something that she did. I mean, she was very imaginative, very creative. I wish I had the movie that she had made. She made a sci-fi short as a project for school, and I was her cameraman. She was the writer, she was the director, I was her cameraman, and I handled any difficult effects. Like if she wanted to do something, she says, I don't know how to make this robot alive. That was my job. I would make the robot alive, make it look like there was a robot. And I also had a cameo in it. I played the mad scientist who got killed after like 5 seconds on the screen. So oh yeah. The next one up is Modern Family. My wife and I still watch that and laugh out loud to this day. This is the cast of Modern Family. At least the predominant cast, the one everybody knows. And if I were writing a show, I would have loved to have written for Ty Barrow's character and for Cameron Tucker. I would have loved to have written Cameron Tucker and Phil Duffy, those two characters. The writing for those two are absolutely crazy. It was just good writing. Now, true, some of the writing was like simple, but they had to do this it was a weekly show. But it was very good, very well written. Like I say, even though some of the situations, Now, I think even though this is my pet peeve with a lot of shows, I have this pet peeve, but it's okay for comedies. I don't like it in dramas. I do not like it when, in order to move the plot, people have to do stupid things. Um, now, but I feel that way about dramas. So, for example, if there was a show called, I think, The Following with Kevin Bacon, and I can't remember the guy who played the antagonist. Can't remember his name. I can see his face. But in order for that show to have the next episode, Kevin Bacon or one of the other FBI agents had to do something stupid so that the guy could get away so that they could have another episode. And that's my pet peeve with dramas and stuff like that. But with comedies, I can tolerate it because stupid shit is supposed to happen. You know, I think comedies are the other extreme of our life where, because like I said, for the most part, most of us, our lives are really not interesting like that. Like, it's not television interesting. Case in point, listen to me talk about my life. You're like, eh. So most of the time, our lives are not interesting. But with comedies, they take all these little moments from their lives and they compress them to like put them in like a little boiler pot or a little pressure cooker, and then the comedy just boils over and it makes you laugh. So Modern Family, and again, to this day, when it's on, not when it's on, because it's almost always on. It's in syndication. It's almost always on, and during the weekends, I probably watch maybe 1 or 2 hours of, probably each episode is like 30 minutes. So I probably watch 4 episodes a weekend with my wife. She starts watching it early in the morning. And we sit down and we laugh at the same stuff that we laughed at maybe 2 months ago when we saw it, or a year ago when we saw it. We still laugh at the same things. And then there's some new stuff that I just didn't pay attention to, but like one of our favorite lines, there's when Sofia Vergara's character, she was ordering, she was ordering something online for Christmas, and she was trying to order little baby Jesuses for, I guess, to put in like Christmas stockings or something. I don't know the purpose of it. It doesn't matter. I'm sure they gave some plausible explanation why she needed like 1,000 baby Jesuses, but they sent her 1,000 baby cheeses, like the little wheels. And so, and my wife and I still think that's hilarious. And funny thing is, you see her in interviews, she says she cannot lose her accent. Like, she has really, really tried to lose her accent so that she could get other roles other than what she's always like the hot Colombian woman. And that's, it's got to be rough because she'd like to play like maybe a hot British woman or a hot Southern belle, but she's got that accent that says won't go away. But I love that show. It was hilarious. And to this day, I still watch it today and I still laugh just as hard. And even at some of the same spots. So maybe that says something more about me and my lowbrow humor at times. And I think the last one on my list here, and it shouldn't be, but it is for now, Veep. That show was fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Now, as the seasons got on, it got crazier and crazier and crazier. But, and the weirdest thing about this is, for all the craziness that was in that show with Veep, there were people in Washington saying that some of it wasn't crazy enough, it's worse than that in Washington. Now, Heavy Kev says he Life of Brian, funniest movie ever. That's tough. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I mean, I laughed a lot at Holy Grail. Blazing Saddles. I think for me, Blazing Saddles was probably one of the funniest. Blazing Saddles, or maybe Young Frankenstein. But I'm going with Blazing Saddles. I'm sorry. I like Life of Brian. I like all the Python movies, but I'm going right now. I'm going to go with Blazing Saddles as probably my favorite comedy of all time. Yeah, Blazing Saddles for right now. Unless something else popped into my head later on. Like I said, Veep. I still watch Veep episodes when they come on. As a matter of fact, every year, they start the season. They show every episode of Veep on. I don't know if it's a Showtime. From first episode to last, it's like a marathon. And every year, my wife watches it from the beginning to the end, and she binge watches. She records them and binge watches it, the entire series. Once a year, she watches it. And I watch it with her from time to time, but also with a place where I get my hair done. Sometimes they're watching again. Where I get my hair done, Samaj Styles in Baltimore, he has like 5 different subscriptions. And so he can watch almost literally anything on the face of the planet. And he chooses to put this in, well, hello, sunshine. I can't type in good day sunshine because I'm by myself, no Matt. So I don't have Matt to talk while I type because that's it. But welcome, sunshine. So like I said, this is Veep. Love the show. Love it. Now, and that was it for my list. But there's one show that I should mention, and I don't have that show. I don't have a graphic for it. I'm sure I have a graphic in my computer. Let's see. Remove from studio. Okay. It's going to take me. It's Tales from the Crypt. That show, when it came on, woke up something in me. It was horror and comedy, and I don't know if you guys remember Tales from the Crypt. And it's making a comeback on Shudder TV. That's a subscription service, and they do horror, and so they're showing every episode of Tales from the Crypt. From the first one to the last one. And I'm not sure how many seasons Tales from the Crypt ran. I think it was 3 seasons. I think. I could be totally wrong. But the main character, the main character, the narrator, Tales from the Crypt, was based on an old cartoon. And okay, let me get that. The old Tales from the Crypt cartoon. And I'm looking for here we go. I was looking for the Crypt Keeper. There we go. Found him. This guy, the Crypt Keeper, I used to do his voice. And whenever I was in an uncomfortable situation, and I didn't know what to say, I would resort to this character. I would do that. Welcome, boys and ghouls. No, that's not bad for a cold impersonation. But yeah, I used to do that. And he was full of bad puns, taking just ordinary words and just trying to make them sound gruesome or at least eerie. But whenever I was in an uncomfortable situation, I would talk in that voice. If it was serious enough, I would talk in that voice. Now, the guy who wrote the Tales from the Crypt character is this guy, my friend Alan Katz. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to reach out to him because, matter of fact, if you look at the picture right above his head, you see the poster for Bordello of Blood, which is why he left Hollywood. But to my right, screen right, you see a little Tales from the Crypt. Right above the microphone, you see a Tales from the Crypt poster or a picture. He was the guy who wrote for Tales from the Crypt. He wrote the dialogue for the Crypt Keeper. And I have to reach out to him because I'm sure he knows that it's back on Shudder. But those episodes are back on. But again, it wasn't like comedy for me. This was humor and horror together. And those two things are so similar. Horror and comedy, they have the same formulas. They work the same way. But it's there's like it's the relationship between horror and humor is like the relationship between crying and laughing. It's like the same muscles, the same place in the brain. It's just same formula, just slightly different circumstances. So, but that's why I didn't make it onto my comedy list, because my comedy list was based on the things that actually impacted me, that either influenced me in the way I thought or the way I behaved. Like I said, with Soap, I was turning down sex to see Soap. And I was like 19 years old. So you find a 19-year-old young man, turning down sex to see a TV show. That's serious stuff. So I'm just saying, that's high praise. Especially since he was dating a model. But she wasn't a model then. She became a model like a year or two later. She was attractive, but no people hadn't discovered her. She was doing magazines and stuff like that. Nothing on television. She was, just magazine modeling, posing with products, stuff like that. Matter of fact, during that time, I was also modeling. I was doing runway shows, and not a lot of them. I think I did a total of 4. My teeth were too messed up, really, to keep doing it. I had my teeth they weren't like this. They weren't like this, and so I couldn't really smile a lot. I wouldn't smile. Because my bottom teeth are fine. My upper teeth was what the problem was. So I would smile, and it'd be an awkward smile like this. I wouldn't show my upper teeth, and my body shape was so odd. I had a very diminutive torso, but from like the navel down, I was like a horse, like big, thick thighs, big, thick ass. And so it was really hard to fit. I did like 4 shows, but they liked my energy and the way I walked out there and my charisma. We like that, but man, you can't fit any clothes. You can't fit anything off the rack. So you can't keep doing this. And they were right. It was hard for me to get fit. Oh my God. So between the teeth and the big ass and the big thighs, I was not good modeling material. But it was fun while it lasted. I have 1 first place award downstairs in my closet. Not my closet, in my tool room. I have 1 first place prize from modeling. That's right. Yes, indeed. I have that. I'll always have that. Now, I want to talk about here. I have a list of the 10 most popular tourist attractions in the world. And I've been to 2 of them. I've been to 2 of them, and I've seen 3 of them. Oh, I've been to two of them, and a third one I've seen, but I did not go there. The one that I saw and did not go into is this one here. Um, but this is number 10. This is Disneyland Park in Florida. The original theme park in Florida. I've seen it. I did not go there. It is the number 10 tourist attraction in the world in 2025. This is 2025, number 10. Now I know a lot of people who've been there, a lot. Now Heavy Cat says his biggest comedy influence was Mork and Mindy. And I watched Mork and Mindy and I hated it for a different reason. I hated it for a totally different reason. It was basically envy, or yeah. When Mork and Mindy came out, I had people who knew me in high school and college, and they, to them, I was, just me. And I was just the funny, weird guy, the weird, funny guy. That's who I was in college and high school. And then Robin Williams shows up. And then my friends started saying to me, "You remind us of Robin Williams." And I took offense to that because they knew me first. They knew me years before they'd even heard of a Robin Williams. So if anything, they should have been saying, Robin Williams reminds them of me. So I was annoyed at that. I was really, really annoyed that they went through the trouble of saying that you remind us of Robin Williams. No, they knew me first. They'd known me for years. Okay, so that was a problem I had with Mork and Mindy and Robin Williams. That's all. And he had a better career and I had a longer life. I don't know. I think the longer life is more important. Well, I don't know how old he was when he died. I'm 66 now, so I'm still living. I don't know that I've had a longer life yet. So number 10 is Disneyland. And like I said, I know a lot of people who drag their kids there. I know my wife dragged her kid there. I wanted to go there, but I didn't want to go there because by the time when I was younger, I wanted to go there because I used to watch the Walt Disney movies. But by the time I got old enough to go, because my family didn't have enough money for us to go when I was a kid. There was no way we were going. The Fendersons were never showing up at Disneyland. We didn't have that kind of money. And when I got old enough that I could go to these places on my own, I didn't have any kids. I wasn't going to go there by myself. A single guy going to Disneyland wasn't going to happen because that just doesn't look good. That's not a good look. And then when I got to the point where, when I got married to my first wife, she had already taken her kid to Disneyland. Actually, she didn't. Her mother did. Her mother had the money. Had already taken her there. So it's not like it was an urgent thing where I had to take her. And she'd already been. When I got to my second marriage, my stepson was already a teenager, and his mother had already taken him there when he was younger. There was no pressure for me to go there. And my wife says, "Do you want to go to Disneyland?" I said, "No, we don't have any kids. Why would we want to go?" She said, "Because you've never been." It's like, well, I'll go someplace else I've never been. There's other places I've never been. I'll go there where a grown man without kids won't look so suspicious. So that's number 10, Disneyland. Number 9, Stonehenge, in England. And if Carl were here, I'd have him tell you all about it, but he didn't show up. So, and it just gives you, this is the description it gave, a prehistoric monument consisting of a ring of standing stones, rich in history and mystery. That's what they wrote. They completely left out the historical significance that it played in Spinal Tap. So if you haven't watched Spinal Tap, watch Spinal Tap and fast forward to their Stonehenge concert. It'll be worth the trip. It's really good, really funny. And Kevin, how did you win a trip to Disneyland? Was it on a radio show, or was it for like an actual accomplishment? Was it like a luck of the draw thing, or was it like you did this better than anybody else, and first prize was Disneyland? How'd you win the trip? Kia or Kev? Okay. So yeah, Stonehenge number 9. Number 8, Statue of Liberty, New York City. Symbol of freedom and democracy, located on Liberty Island. It says in New York Harbor. Now, I think Jersey also lays claim to part of it as well. Now, I'm not sure if they've ever settled that dispute, if it's Jersey or New York or New Jersey. I don't know if they've ever settled that, or if it's still an ongoing controversy. I was there. I took my stepdaughter there. I was there with my first wife, my stepdaughter, and my mother-in-law, my then mother-in-law, who I think has passed because I don't see any activity on her Facebook page. So we were there. I was there. Statue of Liberty. Now, of course, I think the Statue of Liberty is more famous for being an XTC song. Whoa, my Statue of Liberty. Woohoo. Halo on your hair. What do you do to me? In my fantasy, I sail beneath your skirt. Yeah, that's it. So it's part of it's an XTC song also. So you either know it from the statue, or you know it from XTC. The next one is, isn't that pretty? That's really, really pretty. That's Santorini, Greece. It's famous for its stunning sunsets, whitewashed buildings, and beautiful beaches, and probably beautiful bitches as well. It didn't, when I saw that Santorini, Greece was like on the list, it didn't ring a bell, nothing. It didn't do anything in my head. And then I saw a bunch of pictures, and if that's the way it looks, that's really neat. I don't know how much of it looks like that. If all of the buildings are white with little blue tops, or if that's like one particular building, like a church or something. But that's number 7. And I've been outside of the US a couple of times, but only to go to Canada. That's it. The US and Canada, that's it. I've never been overseas. And I told my wife that I didn't want to go overseas until I've seen all of my own country. And I have one state left to see, Hawaii. I've seen the other 49. So once I see Hawaii, then I'm be more than happy to start traveling overseas. Number 6 on their list of 2025 top tourist places, Great Wall of, let's do this. Great Wall of China. Now, there used to be a thing where they said that the Great Wall of China could be seen from space. Honestly, don't know if it can or not. I'm going to ask, can the Great Wall of China be seen from space? And of course, I didn't even have to type the rest of it. And the Great Wall of China is generally not visible from space with the naked eye. except under very specific conditions in low Earth orbit. And that's what I thought. I thought it had to be a low Earth orbit. It says the popular belief that the Great Wall of China can be seen from the moon or outer space is a myth. Early claims, such as those by English antiquarian William Stukeley in 1754, and later in Ripley's Believe It or Not, suggested it was visible from the moon. But astronauts have confirmed otherwise. Neil Armstrong, the first person on the moon, reported seeing continents and oceans, but no man-made structures. And Chinese astronaut Yang Liu stated the wall was not visible from over 30 kilometers above Earth. So there. It's a myth. You cannot see it from space with the naked eye. Okay, there's now Ann says she's been to, now is it Disneyland or Disney World? Because you're on the West Coast, right? And Dylan, you're on the West Coast, so Disney, isn't it Disney World on the West Coast? So were you at Disneyland on the East Coast, Ann? Next, after that is the Grand Canyon. I have been to the Grand Canyon at least 3 times. Once I was 17. The first time I was 17, and we hiked it, and we were I was totally unprepared for that hike. I was young, I was stupid. And the first thing we did was we camped. We camped at the top of the Grand Canyon. We slept in our little sleeping bags, and I woke up and found a spider in my navel. I have an innie, just so you know. I didn't have an outie. I have an innie for a navel. And the whole night I was sleeping, something kept tickling my stomach, and I kept scratching my stomach through the sleeping bag. You know, like I had my hands out, and I kept scratching my stomach because something was like tickling it. And I just assumed that since my sleeping bag had like a cotton filler, that some of a piece of cotton had worked its way out of the sleeping bag, and that's what was tickling my stomach. And eventually the tickling stopped. So I got to sleep through the night. And then I wake up and I look, and I had scratched so much that I killed the spider. It was trying to, like, I guess, find a way into my navel. Well, it was in my navel, but didn't make it like past the skin. So, and I have arachnophobia. So I would have freaked out if I had known that there was actual spider actually trying to sleep in my navel. I was 17. So we camped out on top of the Grand Canyon. I was myself, Wayne Smith, who was the media specialist. He was the adult in the room. I said I was 17. Then there was Tony, who was 18, and George, who was 14 or 15. And so Mr. Smith was, I think, 35. He was actually a media specialist at our school, the equivalent of a librarian, except for he actually dealt with literally all the multimedia stuff, the televisions, the recorders, the audio stuff, the video stuff. That was what his thing was. And this was one of the places that we went to. So we camped out on top. We each had a gallon of water for the hike on the way down. And the way down is so fucking easy. I was like, I ran almost all the way down the canyon. I only stopped I stopped long enough for the other people to catch up with me, because I was running. I just ran the whole way down just about. And I stopped and I waited like maybe 20 minutes for everybody to catch up. Then I started running again. And we got down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And the thing is, we started early in the morning. We started like at 6 a.m. or something. Just at sunrise, we started on the way down. So it was really cool. It was really beautiful. It was probably like 60 degrees or something. I was running down, and we made it to the bottom. And at the bottom, there was only like one place to get anything to eat. But we didn't need anything to eat because we brought our own snacks and our own water down with us because we didn't know there was a place to eat down there. And I think what they served was peanut butter and jelly. I think that's I think it was peanut butter and jelly was what they served at the bottom of the canyon. And while we were down there, we went swimming in the Colorado River before it dried up. And that was and the water was so clear. And I'm standing there, I'm in the water, and I'm watching the fish come up and nibble at the hairs on my leg. And first I was freaked out because I didn't see the fish coming. All of a sudden, something's like nibbling at my leg, and I freaked out. And I jumped, and I saw the fish scatter. And oh, okay. Now, I was 17, and I didn't realize that fish nibbled on, I didn't know. This was the beginning of me learning that I did not know everything about nature. Okay, this was because before that, I thought I knew just about everything about nature, the plants and animals and behavior. And I was such a little know-it-all in high school when it came to science and animals. But I grew up in the city. And so I didn't have a lot of practical knowledge with these things. And it wasn't until when I was a teenager, we moved to a rural area, but still like a mini city. It wanted to be a city. And so I got to, see some of these things, but that was in the Grand Canyon, and we were in the wild, so to speak. As a matter of fact, when we were there, California. So I think that's Disney, isn't that? I think that's Disney World in California, but I didn't go I didn't go to that one either, because I was a grown man. I went to Universal Studios instead. So the Grand Canyon, at the time that we were there, they were trying to get, there were a bunch of wild horses in the Grand Canyon, and they were worried that the horses would starve during the winter. And so pretty much they said, if you could catch the horse and get him out of the Grand Canyon, you can keep it, because they didn't want the horses to starve during the winter. And so we thought, okay, we can catch a horse. Again, somebody has to be the adult in the room. And that was supposed to be Mr. Smith's job. And I think his idea of being the adult in the room is, sure, go ahead and try. You'll learn from your failures. I think that was it. Because that's the way it seemed like it did. If there was something that was dangerous, he would say, I don't think you should do that. But if there was a chance of us learning something before the danger hit, he let us do it. And so, yeah. Now, again, for me, it was an intellectual exercise. I just wanted to see if I could catch a horse. I knew I couldn't get it out of the Grand Canyon. I knew even if I got it out of the Grand Canyon, I had no way of getting it back to Maryland. And if I got it back to Maryland, I was living in a 3-bedroom apartment with my mother. I had no place for the horse to stay except for in the other room, the third bedroom, which was my brother's 4 weeks a year. When he wasn't there, it was like the den or something with the sleep sofa. The horse couldn't stay there. I had no place to keep a horse, but I did want to know if I could catch it. I didn't want to know that. And I didn't have a rope. The closest thing I had to a rope was a belt. And all I had to do was get the belt around the horse's neck, and he's caught. That's it. So we're in the Grand Canyon, and there are pictures of me within a couple of inches of this horse before I freaked out. I tracked the horse, I chased the horse, I cornered the horse, and I had my belt, and I had my belt like this. And I thought, All I got to do is get it over his head, and I could. Now at that, I mean, I had been around horses. I wasn't like a city slicker, you know. I worked on a farm for a couple of years where I was around horses and cows, mainly feeding them and shoveling shit. That was my job. As a, you know, I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. I was feeding horses and shoveling shit, horses and cows. That's it. So I wasn't afraid of horses. And I think I should have been, but I wasn't. And cornered the horse, and I got within a couple of feet of it, and Tony's going, "Go ahead, go, put your belt around his neck." And then I thought to myself, I need a way out. I need to back out of this. And I looked around and I said, "Guys, I can catch the horse, but how are we going to get it out of the canyon?" And I think that was everybody's cue to like say, you know, you're right. We're not going to get out. We're not getting out of it. We can't get this horse out of the Grand Canyon. So, that was it. We let it go. But when it had to make it back up to the top of the canyon, it was 101 degrees. It was hot as hell. It actually was over 101. It was, and because we didn't drink any water on the way down, we poured out half of our water. We each had a gallon, I think. No, we had 2 1-gallon jugs. We didn't drink any on the way down, so we poured half the water out, which would give each of us a quart of water for the return trip. And we start making our way back up, and it's so hot. I was so dehydrated. My skin was white with salt. And then halfway up, I had to go to the bathroom. I really had to take a dump. And there's if you can look out here at this picture of the Grand Canyon, there's no place to take a dump. There are no bathrooms. And it's full of tourists. You're passing people on the way up, on the way down. So I had to find a spot where I could take a dump without being seen by people in the Grand Canyon in private. And I had to take my dump in three minutes or less. I found the spot, and yeah, I went to the bathroom in the Grand Canyon. Took a number 2 in the Grand Canyon. And I remember Smith taking a look at me, and I was told like I was dehydrated. My skin was covered with salt. And I kept saying, I can't take another step. And he started teasing me, saying, "See, you're so young and dumb. You ran all the way down. Where's all this energy now? You should have saved some for the way back." And I drank my quart of water already. And he goes, "No, you can't have any of my water. You shouldn't have drank all your water." And I said, "I'd have had half a gallon if I hadn't poured it out like you suggested." It's like, "No, you're not gonna, you know, if Tony and George want to share their water with you, they can, but I'm not sharing my water with you." And so he then looked at me and he says, "Maybe if you pray to your God, it'll rain." And it wasn't supposed to rain. I think the Grand Canyon got like a half an inch of rain a year or something. But it did. It poured, and it washed the salt off my skin. I was like sucking the rain in my mouth. So that was the first time I went to the Grand Canyon, and the only time I ever went to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. But it was a great day. It is beautiful. It is awesome. The other 2 times I went with my wife Carol. So yeah. But anyway, that's number something. Now next on the list, Taj Mahal. Not the band. I know most people are thinking the band, right? Yeah, no. It's a mausoleum. It's basically a tomb for some it's a stunning mausoleum built in memory of Mumtaz Mahal. It's again never been there. It's really neat looking though. On pictures. But that is the number 4 most popular spot in 2025. After that, the number 3 spot, Eiffel Tower. Now, my wife was there a couple of years ago. I have not been yet. I have a few friends who have been. I have not been to Eiffel Tower. But number 3 is like, is those plants? Oh no, that's just a shading. Okay. I don't have a lot to say about it other than the fact that I only know 2 things about the Eiffel Tower. And one of those is sexual. And I don't think I've ever did that. Let me see. Nope, never did that. Number 2, and my wife was there a couple of years ago, the Roman Colosseum. Colosseum in Italy, a historic amphitheater at the heart of Rome, known for its ancient gladiatorial contest. It's at number 2, and the number one most popular tour site 2025, Machu Picchu, right? Is that how it's pronounced? Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu, Peru, an iconic Incan citadel set high in the Andes Mountains. And that's it, the number 1. Now, I don't have any pictures for top 10 candy things, and I'm going to give myself oops. My throat is dry from talking for an hour and a half, 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to give my throat a break and get some water, and I'm going to play the news, right? Yes, the news.
This is the Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll with headlines and punchlines for Thursday, May 14th, 2026, the 479th day of the Sex Offender Administration. The Senate confirmed Kevin Warsh to lead the Federal Reserve. Warsh will take over for Chairman Powell when Powell's term ends on May 15th. But if anything bad happens after May 15th, it will still be Powell's fault. The Trump administration will block new home health care and hospice providers from enrolling in Medicare for at least the next 6 months, citing concerns about widespread fraud. Widespread fraud will not be tolerated. All fraud must be confined to Trump and friends. Dalton Etherly, who goes by Chud the Builder, and live streams himself saying racially derogatory statements to black people in public settings, was taken into custody after being involved in a shooting outside a Tennessee courthouse on Wednesday. Dalton Etherly and an unidentified man were involved in a confrontation that resulted in gunfire. A witness described the victim as black, but that's not exactly how Etherly described him. Corey Richins, a Utah mother who wrote a children's book on grief after her husband's death, was sentenced Wednesday to life in prison without parole for his murder. The book was called I Can't Grieve You If You Won't Die. MG217 multi-symptom treatment cream and skin protectant eczema cream sold on Amazon is being recalled because it could cause severe infections and life-threatening side effects. According to a Food and Drug Administration press release, the cream is contaminated with Bacterium Staphylococcus aureus, which sounds like the spell that Harry Potter uses to get rid of an STI. This has been the Dr. Reverend Jelly Roll with headlines and punchlines for Thursday, May 14th, 2026, the 479th day of the Sex Offender Administration. Join me live at the Church of Best Resort Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on MindDog TV.
There, just in time. I just finished swallowing the last piece of chocolate. Take a quick break from that. Now, I recently caused a little bit of problems for Matt because when we got to the end of the show, well, not actually because of the end of the show, because I thought I was doing fair use, and technically, according to the law, everything I did was legal and fair use, but YouTube was being kind of buttholes, and I got 2 copyright strikes. And the thing is, we have 2 already. And if we lose a 3rd challenge, Matt would lose access to this platform. And so he took the strike. It was that episode was demonetized, I believe, because if he did the challenge and lost, it would have been bad. Okay. So, but when I'm doing this, at the end of the show, I want to play something of mine. And apparently, the stuff that I have on YouTube that's mine, I can't play without getting a copyright strike, even though it's my music, because it's on YouTube and I'm not sure how or why, but at any rate. So I have some music that is mine that is not on YouTube. And actually it's a compilation. I'm not going to play it now. It's at the end of the show. I'm just mentioning it now because I'm looking at the video for it. It's just something I threw together. But the other day I was mentioning my urn and the multiple things I've used it for. And so I put together a little slideshow and I put the music underneath of it. So at the very end, whenever the end comes, that's what I'll be playing. My slideshow of my urns and music that I wrote, but it was rearranged and played orchestrally. So it's an orchestral version of my music without the lyrics. And it's like a medley of them. As a matter of fact, some of it is so, the arrangements are so, like, it's the music, it's the right music. But like, well, let's say I have a song where the bass is at 9. I'm just talking about levels. The bass is 9, the guitar is 7, and the drums are, and the keyboards are at 5. He may have redid the arrangements, the exact same music, but made the keyboard higher and the bass softer, and so it has a different feel. And so, even though I've had this recording for years, sometimes I even can't tell which song it is of mine that they're rearranged. But at any rate, so that's that at the end. And the arrangement was done by my friend Phil, who was on the show the last time I got a copyright strike. He was on the show and we talked about Sparks, their Sparks song called Good Morning, and how they used music that was originally mine and his. So now I wanted to talk real quickly, go over as of right now. This is okay. These are last year's, and this is in the U.S. top 10 candies by popularity in the United States. And my favorite on this list is at number 4. As a matter of fact, the 3 that I buy the most frequently, they're all 3. They're together at 4, 5, and 6. Okay, but number 10 is the Milky Way bar, chocolate bar with nougat and caramel. That's number 10. Now, as a diabetic, I don't get to eat a lot of these things. Now,
And as a matter of fact, when I was younger, I used to get Milky Way bar and the Three Musketeers kind of mixed up. But eventually I sided with the Three Musketeers bar over the Milky Way bar. But number nine is a Toblerone. And I love that candy bar, especially I found out about it in high school. It was fundraisers. They were I think I was in high school. Let me see. When did the Toblerone bar? I know I found out about it through fundraisers. That's how I found out about the Toblerone bar. When did the Toblerone bar? When did the Toblerone? No, not tuberculosis. No, my God, did I misspell it? There's a rocket ship by Toblerone, right? Toblerone. There we go. They're apparently 1908. Damn. Okay, so 1908. So I'm right. It's the first time I saw it was in high school. And it was first time I saw it was I'm getting copyright strike for discussing copyright. Sunshine, Reese's peanut butter cups. Well, the first time I got Toblerone was high school and it was fundraisers, and I can't remember how much a candy bar was, like $1 maybe, but they were huge. I mean, they were fucking huge. The biggest candy bars I'd ever seen, I think. And they were, like I said, they were like each triangle you could bite, and it was like it was out of this world. And I could not wait for the fundraiser to come around, because once a year, because they didn't sell them, Toblerones were not sold in stores near where I was. At that time I was living in Columbia, Maryland. Couldn't find a Toblerone in the store. I only saw them as a fundraiser. And when I first saw them in stores, I lost my fucking mind. I lost my fucking mind. Even though I couldn't afford it, because it was like 2 or 3 times as much as regular candy bars. So it was like a real treat for me to get a Toblerone bar. And I don't think I'm not sure that they've changed their recipe in all this time. They still taste the same to me. They're still great. Number 8 is Starburst. Now, I remember when Starburst came out, and they are fucking addictive too. They were so juicy. My mouth would just water. I loved Starburst. Back when they were still made with sugar. I'm not so big on the high fructose corn syrup stuff. Number 7, Sour Patch Kids. Sour then sweet gummy candies. I remember Sour Patch Kids when they came out. A lot of my friends were like really, really big into them. Chalk tasting fundraiser. I had a lot of my friends were like really into the Sour Patch Kids. It was okay. I didn't hate them. It just wasn't my thing. Now, the next 3 are the ones that, to this day, when I'm craving candy, I will get one of these 3. Actually, there's one that's missing also. But actually, I still get that without... No, actually, I haven't seen them for a little bit. I haven't seen one for a little bit. Not seen one, I haven't bought one for a little bit. But number 6 is the Twix bar. Chocolate bar with a biscuit base, caramel, and chocolate coating. And I think, I could be wrong. I think the Twix bar. I think I started eating them because because of Halloween. Um, most of my like a lot of my exposure to new candies is because of Halloween. It's not like somebody was saying, "Oh, look, there's a new candy bar. You got to try this." Or even if it was on television, like, "Oh, there's a new candy bar. You got to try this." No, it was because of Halloween. Um, the kids, they throw all kinds of shit into the bag, and you got all these little things, and you get to try them. It's like, holy shit! It's because it's free. Like the first time I had a squirrel nut zipper was Halloween, and that was the only time I buy them. The only time I ate squirrel nut. I mean, I like squirrel nut zippers, but they weren't the kind of candy I'd buy because they were like small. They weren't candy bars. So it was just one of those things, just Halloween squirrel nut zippers. Butter, bitter honey. Now, bitter honey was a candy bar, but it was too much. But the small bite-sized ones was perfect for me, the little bit of honeys. And that's how I found out about the Twix bar. It was Halloween. They'd have like the little single bars. Kit Kat, same thing. Number 5 is Kit Kat. And to this day, I will, if they're on sale, because I'm not paying full price for these candies because they're not good for me. When they're half price, I get 4 candies, 4 candy bars. I get a Twix, I get a Kit Kat, I get number 4, which is Snickers, and I love the ice cream bars, the Snicker ice cream bars. And the other one I get is not on the list, and that's Mr. Goodbar. So when I'm when the candies are half off, I'll get one of each of those 4. Twix, Kit Kat, Twix number 6, Kit Kat number 5, Snickers number 4. Mr. Goodbar didn't make the list. Okay, number 3, I kind of remember when these came out. Skittles, fruity, chewy candies with a variety of flavors. Again, I got exposed to them through Halloween. First time I had Skittles was Halloween. And then after that, I have friends that started buying. Well, I think I got introduced to Starburst and Skittles around the same time. And I had, like I said, friends, they used to get the Starburst because it was like you got like a roll, and each candy you just chewed for like 4 or 5 minutes. It was like it's like the same size as a candy bar, but it lasts 3 times longer. And each piece was separate. So except for in the summertime, if you had it in your pocket, then each piece wasn't separate. They kind of melded all together. I'm sorry, my phone is letting me know that I'm live on, and I should check myself out live. So Skittles, I learned about, that's number 3. Skittles is number 3. And now number 2 is, number 2 is M&M's, not the singer, but the candy. Now, and I don't have them. Of course, I don't have them in here. I have them downstairs. I have all of these M&M candy dispensers. I think I have 4 left. I used to have over a dozen, but I only kept the big ones. The small ones, I had little small M&M candy dispensers, and I got rid of them at a yard sale when my wife and I moved to Florida, but I kept the big ones. I just couldn't find them hard to get, because it took me a while to collect the ones that I had. They weren't just readily available in where I lived. Like I had the blue M&M saxophone player. I have now my favorite M&Ms, my favorite M&Ms are almond M&Ms. That's my favorite. I love the almond M&Ms. There's like 5 different flavors. Original, which is just chocolate, peanut. Now they have, I think, an air pop toffee or something, caramel, and almond. Those are the only 5 I can think of. And almond is my favorite. Now, they say you can't give a dog chocolate. My dog begged to differ. Back when I was living with my first wife, like I said, I had M&M dispensers in the basement. I had them displayed on the mantle, and they were filled with M&Ms. And my dog also loved the almond M&Ms. So whenever I would pull the lever down for the almond M&M, my dog, wherever she was in the house, would run down to the basement. She'd run down to the basement and wait and sit for me to give her an almond M&M. Now, I didn't give her a lot of chocolate. I just gave her like 1 M&M, and she would play with it at first. She would toss it in the air, and she'd get excited, and she'd bounce. She'd throw it, and then bounce in front of it, and then grab it and throw it in the air, and eventually she would chew it and eat it and run off. Now, like I said, so I guess when they say don't give a dog chocolate, they mean don't give them a lot of chocolate. Because I like I said, there's not a lot of chocolate in the almond M&M. I mean, it's like a coating. It's like mostly nut, a dusting of chocolate, and then a hard candy shell. It's not enough to harm a dog, a big dog like I had, well, border collie, a shepherd border collie mix. That little bit of chocolate was going to hurt her, and it didn't. What hurt her was when my ex-wife abandoned her at my house, and I was traveling a lot. I couldn't keep her. She was old. She was barely getting around. And I really did like that dog. And she stayed at me, and I didn't have a fence. I had a huge yard and no fence. So I could only let her out if I was out with her. I couldn't just let her out in the yard and let her run around and play. Even though I had like an acre yard, I had no fence. So there was nothing to keep her in the yard. And I had like huge traffic in front of the house, super busy road. Matter of fact, that same busy road is where my cat died because, he got disoriented and wandered out into the traffic and was run over by a car. So I didn't have a fence, so if I had to let the dog out, I had to be out with her. And since my job, I was always traveling. And so I couldn't keep her. And she was getting old. She was, having difficulty getting around. So I had to put down. And I felt bad because if my first wife wasn't such a lady part, it was her dog. She just didn't want to take care of it anymore. She wanted a new dog. She wanted a puppy. And she always wanted a puppy. Even when we were together, she had this dog. She adopted. She adopted it. But it wasn't a puppy. She didn't have it from a puppy. It had its own mannerisms when she got it, and she wanted to break it, and the dog wouldn't break. So she dumped it on me, and after like a couple of weeks, I had to put her down, and broke my heart. I'd never had an animal put down before. And I didn't want to do it. At the last second, I almost wanted to change my mind, but I knew that she wasn't going to get any better, but she could have lived at least, and she probably would have lived at least another 2 or 3 years. She would have had a decent life, just sitting in the yard, pretending to chase squirrels, dreaming about chasing squirrels and rabbits, but not being able to chase one or catch one. And it was a very smart dog. But the moral of that story is you can give a big dog a small M&M. Now, Ann says, I'm a Hershey bar girl. Tootsie and Charms Pops. Yummy. Now, I'll get back to the Charms Pop because I'm at number 1. And one of you has already mentioned it. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Number 1. Number 1 on the list. And if I remember correctly, the peanut butter cup, when they first made it, if I remember correctly, when they first made it, it was just peanut butter, and chocolate. And I'm saying just peanut butter and chocolate because they didn't like the texture. I guess his name was Mr. Hershey, did not like the texture of the peanut butter cup. And they had a batch where they accidentally overcooked the peanut butter, and it became a little bit more, the texture changed when they overcooked it. It dried up a little bit, but he thought this was it. And he says, and he told him, he goes, this is an accident. And he goes, but I like this. This is the taste we want. So that accident of overcooking the peanut butter became the iconic taste for the Reese's peanut butter cup. They over-roasted the peanut butter. So that's why it tastes a little bit different than just peanut butter and chocolate. Their peanut butter is overcooked on purpose. Now, it's overcooked on purpose now, but back then it wasn't. It was just an accident. The first batch, accident. Now, when the Tootsie Pops and the Charm Pops, well, Tootsie Pops came out first. And I used to get the Tootsie Pops again on Halloween. And then Charm Pops came out. Now, I would get the Tootsie Pops when I only had change, like penny, because Tootsie Pops were penny candy when I was little. And then eventually it became like a nickel. They were a little bit, they were a little bit bigger, and they became a nickel. And then the Charm Pops came out, and they were also a nickel. But they were bigger and flatter. And they weren't flatter. They were, I'm thinking of Charms Blow Pops. The Charms Blow Pops were not flatter. They were just bigger and rounder. And they had gum in them. And the Tootsie Roll Pops had a Tootsie Roll inside them. And at the time, there was a commercial with Mr. Owl. And this little kid says, I think he wound up to Mr. Turtle. How many licks does it take to get the chewy center of a Tootsie Roll Pop? And he goes, let's ask Mr. Owl. He's the wisest of us all. And he goes, let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 3. Because of that commercial, I wanted to find out which one was a better deal for a nickel, because they were both a nickel. So I got 30 cents. I bought 3 Tootsie Roll Pops and 3 Charm Blow Pops. And the criteria was very simple. I would take it out, 1 lick, and do a quarter turn, and I would do each one just like that. And so until I got to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop. Until I got to the Tootsie Roll, and then I did the same thing with the Blow Pop, and then I took the average of the two. The Charm Blow Pop took 752 licks on average, and that's rotating it, not straight through. If you licked it straight through, you just divide it by 4 because there's 1 quarter turn. But if you're rotating it, 752 licks to get to the gum. But it was bigger, but it took less time because it was had so much more air in it. The Tootsie Roll Pop took 2,225 licks per average. So it was denser and less air, so it didn't dissolve as quickly. But once you got to the Tootsie Roll part, that only lasted, that was gone like a minute, if that. But the bubble gum in the Charms Blow Pop lasted a lot longer. So if you wanted the candy part to last long, you get the Tootsie Roll Pop. But if you wanted the bubble gum, part to last longer, you got the Charms Blow Pop. Yeah, I was that kind of an anal kid. I went and did the experiment because I would know the answer, because everybody else had the answer of 3, and I wanted to know the real answer. And so I did that little experiment with the real answer. think that's, did I do? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't do much work on that list. I didn't do pictures and stuff. I just went through and grabbed the top 10 candies in the U.S. for at least last year. Of course, and I don't know why I thought this would last longer. So, let's see. Yeah, I'm just going through the chat room to see what else is going on. I don't know what the thing was. Oh, it says when I asked Kevin how he won his trip to Disneyland, he says, I won a trip after going in draw after buying Limp Bizkit album. Included VIP pass to concert as well. Oh, cool. That's cool. Now I was looking, I'm trying to find I had a list of favorite movies. Let me see. I'm trying to think here. Is that let's see here. All right. The other day, somebody asked me about my influences in comedy. And I think it was Heavy Kev. And I said, people you wouldn't expect it. Some of the things you wouldn't expect, but I actually did have a bunch of influences. People that influenced the way I did comedy and the way I looked at comedy. And it's a healthy list. I think okay. I think my first comedy influence was the Marx Brothers. I'm pretty sure of it. And I'm saying that because the first time I tried to make someone laugh on purpose, I did it with Marx Brothers material. My brother and I was about 6 years old because my father was still alive. So I was about 6 years old, maybe 7. So my brother would have been between 9 and 10. And he and I got caught stealing. It was his fault. It's not his fault that it was his fault that we got caught, but it's also his fault that we were stealing. He was the older brother. He should have stopped me. But even when he was doing it, I was a lot smarter than him. And I was telling him he was doing it wrong and how he could get away with it. But he didn't want to listen to me because what did I know about stealing? I was only 6 years old and I hadn't been stealing. So he was the pro at stealing stuff and we got caught. We got punished. And so my mother confined us to our room for a week. And as soon as the door closed, now my brother and I shared a room and we didn't get along to begin with. We were always fussing. We were always fighting. I was small. I couldn't beat him. So I was always getting beat up. And he was relentless. He knew he could beat me and he wouldn't take any mercy. He would just go all out on me. So the door closed. And within a couple of minutes, my brother looked at me and goes, I'm not going to make it a week. I'm going to go crazy. He goes, you make me laugh or I'm going to punch you in the face. And so at that time, like I said, there was a lot of shows on Sundays. Three Stooges, which my brother was a huge fan of the Three Stooges. Marx Brothers, which I was the only one in my family who watched the Marx Brothers. My mother could not stand the Marx Brothers. My mother did like the Three Stooges. And I think my brother being closer to a mama's boy than I was, that may have been why he picked the Three Stooges. I knew that my mother did not like Marx Brothers, and I did. And I was not going to be swayed away from them just because she didn't like them. And I watched the Marx Brothers all the time, and I was always imitating them. Constantly. I learned the material. Well, I didn't learn all the material. I learned just enough to get by. So when my brother said, "Make me laugh, I'm gonna punch you in the face," I knew I couldn't make him laugh with Three Stooges stuff. He'd already seen all the Three Stooges stuff. And not only that, the Three Stooges didn't have a lot of clever dialogue, but the Marx Brothers did. And so what I did with them, was to keep my brother from punching me in the face, I did, let's see. Oh, there's a song called Lydia, the Tattooed Lady by the Marx Brothers. And that was what I did. And I did the dance, la, 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 la. So I'm not going to do the lyrics. I'm not going to sing because I don't want to get copyright strike. But I did the song, and my brother was laughing. So I was doing the whole Groucho Marx dance, and the voice. I had a little piece of tape on my lip for the mustache, and my brother was, like I said, cracking up. And then he goes, after the song was over, he goes, "Make me laugh, I'm gonna punch you in the face." Now, I know I do stand up now, and I'm still terrified to go on stage. And even with all the things I've been through on stage, no one has ever said, "Make me laugh, or I'll punch you in the face." And for that to be your first challenge into doing comedy, so to speak, because if someone says, "Make me laugh, or I'll punch you in the face," so there's real consequences if you're not funny, that's a lot of pressure. And you would think that since I survived that the rest of the stuff would be, because no one's ever threatened to punch me in the face over a comedy. The closest, no. I've had other comedians threaten me, but they're comedians, they can't fight. But yeah, so my brother goes, "Make me laugh, or I'll punch you in the face." So then I started doing Marx Brothers material, and I would do all 4 characters. I would do Groucho and Chico and Harpo and Zeppo, and I would do all the parts and the dialogues and everything, and my brother would laugh. And then after an hour or so, I burned through all the material that I knew. I burned through all the Marx Brothers material that I knew. And my brother goes, "Make me laugh, or I'll punch you in the face." And so I came up with, I made up a new character. And that was my first attempt at improv, deliberate attempt at improv. I made up a character, Darko Marx, who later became Charcoal Marx in my 20s. Same character, Darko Marx, Charcoal Marx, same character. And he was the illegitimate love child of whoever the Marx Brothers' father was. And so he was the illegitimate Marx brother, Darko Marx. And basically I just took parts of Groucho, parts of Chico, parts of Harpo, and combined them to make Darko Marx, the illegitimate love child. And my brother ate that up. But I didn't know much about improv. I was like 6 or 7 years old. I threw together some stuff, made my brother laugh. And then after that, I kind of won my brother over. So he stopped threatening to punch me in the face to make him laugh. He just started making requests. And he would ask me to impersonate things. And his favorite thing for me to impersonate, which I think says more about him than it does about me. I think it says more that he requested it than that I could actually do it. Okay. My brother would always ask for a transvestite something and put him in a scenario. So in these improv things, my brother said, you, you're a transvestite trying to catch a cab. Or you're a transvestite at the bus station, or you're a transvestite in the bank line. And so my brother had all these transvestite requests, or gay. Once, like sometimes he'd say, you're a gay transvestite in the police station. And so I would do these character things, and my brother would crack up. He just loved that stuff. And he's a huge homophobe. So like I said, I think there was something in my brother's closet that he didn't want out. But I was his vessel to get it out of his system. So Groucho Marx, probably my first, like I said, I don't know if you call it my first love, but my first major influence. After that, my next influence was Jonathan Winters. I used to love Jonathan Winters. And I would impersonate the things that he would do. Whenever I saw him on television, all of his little sound effects, I started learning how to do sound effects. And Jonathan Winters, now it took me a while to understand how he worked. So I was just imitating him. But after a while, I got to understand actually how Jonathan Winters worked. After that, Bob Newhart. So from Marx Brothers, it was the clever wit, the clever banter. From Jonathan Winters, it was the sound effects and the physical comedy. And Bob Newhart, it was just the intellectual approach to comedy. I loved Bob Newhart so much. To this day, if I'm doing a long show, one of my 1 hour to 90-minute shows, there's almost always a nod to Bob Newhart. I don't say it. I don't come on and say, and this piece is an homage to Bob Newhart. I just do it. And if you know Bob Newhart, you go like, oh, that's great. Yeah, it's a decent homage to him. And if you don't know Bob Newhart, you go like, that's a pretty fucking clever piece. George Carlin, obviously, he was very erudite. Now, there's somebody who's not on the list who probably will eventually be on the list. Actually, two people that aren't on the list that probably, because they did influence me much later, once I actually started. These are the influences that I had before I started doing comedy. These people were just things that became part of my nature. That whenever I was uncomfortable, or if I just wanted to laugh, this is where I turned. Like Red Fox, Moms Mabley, Red Skelton, Pigmeat Markham, huge Pigmeat Markham fan, especially when I was growing up, because that was one of those things like in our neighborhood, in our Black neighborhood, he was like extremely popular, especially with his little courtroom scenes, like I am the judge, I am the judge. And then with Laughing picking up the mantle with Sammy Davis Jr. doing a Pigmeat Markham part, I am the judge, I am the judge. It was pretty much inundated with that. I like Nipsey Russell, mainly because Nipsey Russell, again, I fancied myself as a poet when I was younger. I really wanted to be a poet. I wanted to be a writer, a poet. And Nipsey Russell just did these little quatrains that were humorous. Not limericks, just little quatrains. And it inspired me to pretty much do the same thing, and I started writing little cards. I used to do cards for my family. I would get paid to write greeting cards for birthdays, mainly birthdays. I would do the artwork and write a little quatrain. And I'll ask them what they want the quatrain to be about. So in other words, I didn't just write my own. They would say like, I want you to write about this. And I'll write a little thing, I love Victor Borgen. Again, he was funny without words. It was hilarious. The Carol Burnett show. Again, the writing was fantastic, and the sheer fact that they could break each other up. That meant when you can break up somebody who does the same thing you do, that says a lot. I get that feeling once in a while, like today's Thursday. So Tuesday night I had my workshop with Dylan Brody. And there were people in the group, in the class. And I went over the material that I'm going to do for May 24th. The 4 minutes that I'm doing to introduce Crack the Sky. Well, actually, I'm doing, I think, 10 minutes to introduce Crack the Sky. But the first 4 minutes is the humor, is the joke, so to speak. The rest of the time, I'm talking about their biography, All Things Cracked, their most recent CD, Blessed, and also John Palumbo's book, Swimming the Cleveland Ocean. So that's the last, and I haven't written that stuff yet. I just know that's what I'm going to talk about. But I went over the first 3 minutes of material for them, and to get them laughing and cracking up, even though they don't know Crack the Sky, aside from being they were all on the West Coast, they didn't know Crack the Sky was, but some of it was funny enough without them knowing who Crack the Sky is, that they laughed anyway. So that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling when you can get people who are in the same, when you're a comedian and you can get other comedians to laugh, or when you're humorous, you get other people to laugh at your work who do the same thing. That's what they do. They're script writers, they're sketch writers, they're performers, and you get them laughing. And not only that, but they're there to be critical. They were listening, to examine, to help me fix anything that needed to be fixed. So they weren't just listening. They weren't just there listening as entertainers to be entertained. They were like there to tear it apart, And that's what we did. We tore it apart, and basically, there was one phrase, I used it 3 times, like a comeback. And that was like the stick in the craw. Stick in my craw? Well, anyway, we fixed it because it was too generic and wanted to be more specific. And so that's it. That's what we fixed. That's it. There were a couple of words I took out on my own, but there was one phrase, we got rid of it. And I replaced that one phrase I used 3 times, I replaced with 2 phrases. I used it once, twice, and then I used one phrase 2 times, and then I have the final punchline with that. So I appreciate it when other comedians laugh at what you're doing, when other artists appreciate what you're doing. That's high praise. So when I get these other people who go like, well, you're not funny, you're terrible. And when I say other people, I'm thinking about one particular show and their fans. It's like, it's fine. I get it. You don't, I'm not funny to you. It's okay. Paul Lynde. I loved Paul Lynde. Him and, he was just so, it was just the way he talked, his attitude. It was just his attitude. I loved his attitude when he just put the finger up on his face, and he would deliver his line, and that's it. And it was just funny. Now, true, a lot of the stuff is written for him, especially in Hollywood Squares, but he was not just in Hollywood Squares. He was in a lot of stuff before Hollywood Squares. He played Uncle Arthur in Bewitched, and he was in a few other movies before that. Some of my sensibilities come from cartoons I used to watch, like mainly Rocky and Bullwinkle, and Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. Those were influences as well. And again, it's because I think because they could take a little bit of the absurd and just twist it enough. And with Rocky and Bullwinkle, that was like a children's cartoon made for adults, an adult cartoon that they repackaged for kids. And same with Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. Most of those cartoons were for adults that they played between theaters and between movies in a like you go to a double feature, and they'd have the first movie. Let's say it's I don't know, I'm trying to think of a movie that people have gone to go see, Gone with the Wind, and then there would be like these cartoons for adults, you know, like I said, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, the Merry Melodies, and then they'd be the second movie. And when they started doing children's programming, they didn't have any cartoons for kids. It was just adult cartoons that they put and said, okay, these are for kids. That's it. They didn't re-edit them. They didn't tame them. They didn't dumb down the language. They just said, okay, the kids are going to watch these cartoons, which we wrote for adults. So now there were a bunch of people that influenced the way I perform that had, well, Mad Magazine pushed my boundaries. And you know, there were some things that, well, okay, Muhammad Ali was also an influence in the way I perform. And that's because I have tremendous stage fright when I go up there. I'm not comfortable at all when I first get up there. And so for the first minute or two, I'm faking it. And I learned to fake it by watching Muhammad Ali. When I was a kid, I was shy. And whenever I got in trouble, whenever I had to be brave, I would pretend to be Muhammad Ali. Whenever I had to be brave. And now I'm older, I don't pretend to be Muhammad Ali. But it's still that pretend thing, pretending that I'm not afraid. When I'm on stage. And that's something that I got from imitating Muhammad Ali when I was a kid. And now I just imitate a different part of myself. Now there were things that I watched that pushed my boundaries that just, my brain, it just made my brain explode a little bit. It's like, you can do that? Ernie Kovacs, Mad Magazine. When I got exposed to those things, my brain just went, you know, every time it's like, you can do that, you can do that. So that and Gracie Allen from Burns and Allen, she was so smart and so funny, and she was so good with the words, and she was so good at playing dumb, which I use in my material quite a bit, playing dumb when I know full well what I'm saying, and I'll just be dumb. And people see me do that a lot with on the show Coffee with the Dog. When Matt is talking, I'll drop, you know, something totally dumb that you wouldn't know, nobody would think that, and I would do that. And that's what I learned from Gracie Allen. Now, as far as my stage presence goes, the two biggest influences on when I'm on stage are the Sensational Alex Harvey Band and Sammy Davis Jr. Those two they influence my they influence me, like my performance, like nothing else really. Sensational Alex Harvey Band was the theatrical. It was just how theatrical the band was. You know, he acted the lyrics. He did the lyrics, but he also acted them out sometimes. You know, he'd have these performances. And Sammy Davis Jr. is very simple. There was a routine he did. He comes out on stage, he's dressed like a cowboy, and he's got guns, 2 guns on him. And he starts to spin the guns. And when he was done, he says, if I didn't know I could do it, I wouldn't be doing it. And that's how I feel like when I'm performing on stage, it's like I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't know I couldn't do it. If I didn't know I could, yeah, I'm only up here because I know I can do it. I wouldn't do it otherwise. I don't take the stage and think, I don't take the stage and go, I can't do this. I feel like that. I honestly, I'm so afraid. But once I start and once I'm done, I'm like, yeah, that's why I was up there. I can do this. So, that's it for, yeah. That's a long-winded version of my comedy influences. And I'm sure, wake up. So, there. What else can we, let me see here. What else? I'm trying to see if anything happened in the news today. Well, El Nino forecast warns of a powerful shift amid hurricane season. All right. Trump and DeSantis sued over donation of Miami land for extravagant presidential library. Ooh, I did not know that. Ooh. Miami residents sued Donald Trump, Miami-Dade College, and Florida state officials on Wednesday, alleging that the decision to donate the iconic stretch of downtown Miami property for Trump's future presidential library, which might also house a hotel, is unconstitutional. The lawsuit argues that I hate calling him the president, but that's how the article reads. Okay, the article says the president. The lawsuit argues that the president, his Presidential Library Foundation, and state officials, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, violated the Domestic Emoluments Clause of the U.S. Constitution, which prohibits states from giving a financial benefit to a sitting president. Ooh. The White House didn't respond to an emailed request for comment on Wednesday night. DeSantis moved last September to transfer a 2.63-acre parcel of land to Trump's Presidential Library Foundation. Since then, the president and his son Eric shared extravagant plans for a skyscraper to house the library. An artificial intelligence video, well, if they want a video of artificial intelligence, just show Trump. No real intelligence there whatsoever. Okay, I did not know he was being sued. The Reverend's going to have to talk about that tomorrow. I'll make sure of it if he remembers. Now, this is what the economy is not doing great. It really isn't. But people with the credit card people. Okay, I got a thing from Carl says, couldn't make it. I'm so in demand. So that's okay, Carl. The credit card companies are boasting that the economy is doing so well because people are using their credit cards more. That does not mean the economy is doing well. Okay, that means, and they're using it for things that they didn't use the credit cards for, like food, for monthly expenditures, maybe to pay the electric bill, so it doesn't get shut off. So you charge it, and it gets paid down over time. So yeah, that's not the sign of a healthy economy. They're saying, was it 50% of all sales? 50% of all sales purchases are being purchased by the top 10% of the country. I think that's about right. The exact, you can double check it if it's 4%, but at any rate, it's half of all sales is about 10% of the population, the richest 10%, half of all retail sales. That's not a sign of a healthy economy. And then most of the stock market is being propped up by AI investments, which in itself is still losing money, because the amount of infrastructure that it takes is so massive that is going to be a huge investment, and they're going to try to get that money back somehow. And a lot of it's going to be from us. Let's face it. Mississippi governor drops election pledge in huge setback for Trump's midterm plan. I don't know if it's a huge setback. In Mississippi, they decided to hold off on their redistricting plan for now. They still want to do it. He still wants to do it. I don't think he's going to do it this cycle, but it'll probably be there for 2028, unless the House takes control and they do something that they can do something to put a stop to all this gerrymandering shit. But let's see. Florida Attorney General issues subpoena to the NFL over the Rooney Rule. For those people not familiar with the Rooney Rule basically says that if you have a vacancy in management or coaching, that you have to interview some minority. They're trying to basically trying to get rid of the old bust up the old boys club. Let's see here. The subpoena commands the league to appear at the Attorney General's office in Tallahassee, Florida on June 12th. It asked the league to produce extensive documents, including all diversity reports, coaching census data, or demographic surveys that reflect the race and sex of coaching staffs of the teams from 2017 to the present. And that's the other thing. There are now, I know back in 2015, because I did it as material in 2016. So it happened in 2015 or 2016. I think the Buffalo Bills had a special teams running back coach that was a woman or something like that. A special teams coach, actually an assistant special teams coach. And that was Buffalo Bills. But I don't know of any other women. Let me see. Female coaching staff in NFL. Female coaching staff in NFL. The NFL has seen a historic rise in female coaches, with 15 full-time women on staff from 2024 to 2025 season, spanning strength and conditioning and position roles. Okay. Conditioning, okay. As of 2025-2020, as of the 2025-26 NFL season, 6 women serve as strength and conditioning coaches. The Ravens have one. Panthers, okay. Yep, but so there's 6 right now. It looks like there's 6 in the NFL. 15 women now coaching. Okay, so it's, okay, 15 women now coach in the NFL. Okay. But in 2015, the first time I did it, at least in comedy, there was one. The Buffalo Bills had the first one, I think. I'm almost positive. You can check me on that. And I'm fine with that if you do. What else we have in the news here? Philippine senator wanted by the International Criminal Court flees from Senate. A Philippine senator wanted by the International Criminal Court for an alleged crime against humanity has fled from the Senate, where he sought refuge to evade arrest, officials said on Thursday. Senator Ronald De La Rosa's exit from the heavily guarded Senate came after volleys of gunshots were fired Wednesday night by the building's security personnel during an argument with a government agent, sparking chaos that apparently helped the senator to step out. Damn. gunfire in the Senate hallway. And these are good guys fighting good guys, security fighting the police. And we could probably have the same thing happen here. I guess the same thing would happen here. That was one of the problems they had. If Trump were to be arrested and he has Secret Service around him, what would the repercussions be? Would the Secret Service, whose job it is to protect Trump, allow him to be arrested? But their job is to protect him from being harmed. It doesn't say that they're there to protect him from being arrested. It's not like he's a black suspect and they're going to harm him. You know, the worst they'd probably do is like deny him his, his blood sugar might drop, his gravy, the viscosity of his blood might drop because he didn't have his KFC, but that's it. So that's one of the things they were afraid of back then, but I don't know why they're afraid of it. It's not like we're ever going to arrest Donald Trump. We should. Well, he needs his day in court. That's the other thing. The money that he's owes Jean Carroll. They postponed that. This woman's been waiting for a long time. She won her case. Why they're postponing it? It's not like the man doesn't have the money. He's making money hand over fucking fist. Why are they postponing? It's not even saying there's a retrial or anything. They're just saying we're postponing. Why? He lost the case. He's been sued. He lost. He appealed and he lost. He's got the money. He's been stealing from us for a couple years now. He's got the money. Let him pay her so she can pay her attorneys. And maybe start up a fund. Maybe help the Epstein files women. No. At any rate, I've done all the damage I can do today. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And I am going to put this in. I said I will check you guys out tomorrow. Matt should be back tomorrow. And I don't know if we have any guests, but at least it won't be just me blathering on and boring you to death. So thank you for listening. See you tomorrow, and walk around nappy. I can say that, but I don't mean it today. Go home. Bye. Leave. I'm still waiting.